And big up and warm welcome back to BMGT. I'm your host, Billy2109. Actually, it's not BMGT, is it? Shame on me. That's tomorrow night. Big up, everybody, and welcome back to SportSentric. And this is going to be the fallout show from the World Cup and the final thoughts of that, and potential transfers that we might be looking forward to, and of course, a preview to SummerSlam on the weekend for everyone, the wrestling fan. So where do we start? Let's start with the controversy between Argentina and Spain. It's been our last video, yeah, it was just before the final, to be fair. And I did say Spain would win the game because the way that Spain beat my beloved, you can see my badge down there, France, kind of says it all, really. They calculogically set the game up. They knew they set their stall out. They knew what they were going to do. They frustrated France. And you can see in the likes of Rabiot and the way he reacted, and he was a liability, and the red card waiting to happen in the semi-final, that they were going to do the same thing as Argentina. And Argentina are loose cannons. When you think of Paredes and how many fouls he committed in the game, and even his attitude at the end, I'm not surprised by that. We'll talk about that towards the end of this little segment. But when you look at the likes of Enzo Fernandez, we've seen that at Tottenham Hotspurs here with Romero. These Argentinian players, no disrespect to them, they have a lot of South American, how do you say the word now, passion. And they play very much on the edge, and this can lead them to go a bit too far in their occasions. When you see the semi-finals of the Copa America, for example, their behavior in that was atrocious. When you see the final of the Copa America, their behavior in that was atrocious. And then you look at the World Cup, and it's a surprise that they misbehave again? No, because this is Argentina. And this is why I'm used to them being the way they are. They are a very good team, but you can see it, they were basically, Messi was a metronome. And against Spain, we need more than that. Because Spain don't play with one singular fantastic player. Yes, they have Lamau, but there's more to Spain than just Lamine Yamal. You've got the likes of Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, pulling the strings in the midfield. You've got little Buster, Nico Williams. Don't rate him too much, but he's on the left-hand side. He offers the width on the left. The one problem I saw with Spain here before the tournament was a lethal goal scorer up front. Oyarzabal isn't that for me. And neither is the other option like Fermin Torres. But to their credit, Spain found a way to win regardless of having a clinical goal scorer. And that's more testament to Spain, to be fair. But then it's like Portugal. They suffer, like I said, they suffer from lack of a clinical goal scorer. Someone who you know is going to put the ball in the back of the net more often than not. But like I said, somehow when there's a will, there's a way, and Spain won the World Cup. So fair play to them, their second triumph. So now they've got 2 stars, like my France, they have 2 stars. 2 stars, see? So, and that's both after England's track. It's coming home. It's not coming home, it's going back to Spain. Sorry, kiddies. But yeah, I best not criticize England for having feeling they try slapping me around. Oh well, life is life, isn't it? Anyway, back to this video. Yeah, let me talk about the fallout from the World Cup. So far, we've had Yan Diamande, the Ivorian winger, who plays for RB Leipzig. Apparently, he was going to PSG. Now, PSG out of the race and is going to Real Madrid. Now, up front for Real Madrid, when you think of Vini on the left, Mbappe in the middle, and Yan Diamande on the right-hand side, if any winger would be at threat of Yan Diamande coming in, it wouldn't be Vini Jr. I would say it's more Rodrigo, because I could see Yan Diamande being on the right-hand side. Then you've got Arda Güler potentially behind them, which is such a concern. this is why I can understand why Nico Paz didn't want to really return back to Madrid, and they ended up going to Como. And by the way, when you think of their business, £100 million they made in potential. £100 million they made in potential deals, sell-on deals they've made, and that's fantastic club business for a football club. Sorry about this. I've just got my neighbour coming upstairs. Unfortunately, sorry about that. You know how life goes, mate. You know how life goes. What was talking about again? Oh yeah, I remember now. We were talking about Yan Diamande and Real Madrid. Yeah, anyone be that threat, you would think it was Rodrigo. You've got Arda Güler pulling the strings behind them. Potentially have Rodri coming in, because Rodri is in the last year of his contract at Man City, and next year he can leave on a free to go to Real Madrid, and he's been flaunting for Real Madrid for a while. Give me 2 seconds, man. I'm just people always interrupt you at the wrong time, you know what I mean? It's like you're chatting and people interrupt you, you know? Unfortunately, time and place. Anyway, back to this video. Yeah, Yan Diamande, Rodrigo potentially. I would be looking at him going out on loan when he comes back, if he's back from fitness, because I'm not sure if he's injured, a long-term injury, but I haven't heard about Rodrigo for a little while. I'm sure he's still at Real Madrid, but a few other players like Gonzalo Garcia, I think that he'll go, because I can see Mourinho using Mbappe and Endrick just behind him. So you've got 2 pacing options, because what he's been asking for is pace up front, and Yan Diamande is pacing, so it's Endrick. So I won't be surprised if we see Gonzalo Garcia go out. And I heard Fulham were interested, but if I was Spurs, I'd be all over that, to be fair. Because you can't be worse than the Pigeon and Solanke. But please drop your notes in the chat if you feel like saying it. But yeah, I look, and in other potential deals, I look at Spurs' business, for example. Yeah, in defence, you've seen Van Hecker, and one deal I'm glad is that Van Hecker was done before the World Cup, because him being done before the World Cup stopped Brighton from asking for more money potentially, and stopped Brighton from other suitors potentially jumping in who might have seen him at the World Cup and thought, you know what, he's in the last of his contract, let's take a chance. We're already interested in him before the tournament, but he's showing that he's ready right now to come in. So potentially bigger names going to come in, which is my issue at the time, which is why you need to get them deals done, like Bayern did with Sabari, for example. How they brought him in before, after watching him against Brazil in the first game for Morocco, they brought him straight into the club. While they still had that broker deal, because nothing stopped PSV from actually raising the price of Sabari. So can't blame teams for taking that chance, mate. Get that player signed up, locked, stocked and barreled already before the other potential ones come in. Because if you look at Somerville, for example, Roma were all after that, and how I think it is, just stepped in, just went straight in there. Morgan Rogers for Arsenal, but all for months and months, Morgan Rogers linked with Arsenal. Chelsea come in, gone. This is another thing of don't hang around waiting around. If that's a player you want, sign it, hurry up and just get the deal done. Sometimes it's not worth negotiating. If that's the benefit of the team, just get the deal done. This is where I give Spurs praise with Matheus Fernandes, for example. Yeah, it pulled off a little bit, but you know what? At least they got the job done. The same with Tonali, to be fair. My weakness with Spurs is the front three, and I've said this for years. Tell is a decent young player, a second string player, I would say, like a second choice on the left-hand side, or potentially on the right-hand side. The same with Odegaard. Both of them were the same for me. You come in as a backup option, even I wouldn't even say backup option. For the last 20 minutes, if you can change the course of the game, you should never be relying on them. And that's what Tottenham's problem was, relying on these youth for too long. And it's been proven over the years that they're not good enough systemically. Other than the free kick this morning, for example, what did Tell offer in terms of the game today? It wasn't that much. But unfortunately, this is just the nature of the beast. And fans are easily pleased. And it's shocking to me how they can be easily pleased, particularly when you've seen Spurs finish 17th twice. It's like sometimes you look and you think, man, you need to find some shame and some pride in yourself, you know what I mean? We finished 17th twice in the last 2 years. And then you look at, we have not fixed that front line. The pigeon, I don't refuse to call him by his name, man, because I take it like a drinking game. It's not. Shouldn't say that on our TV. But I don't really care to that. Why lie? And yeah, I don't rate the pigeon, and his name Pigeon does. But then he actually has a better goal scoring record than the other one we got. You know what I mean? His region, Solanke, Chesney Hawks. One good season, brother. Chesney Hawks. Like Chesney Hawks had one good hit. That man only had one good season, bro. Actually, how did I word it properly? Oh yeah, like Chesney Hawks had one and only good single. The pitching, Solanke's had only one and only one good season for Bournemouth. And he's playing for Bournemouth. Bournemouth and Tottenham don't play the same way. At Bournemouth, yeah, they have the players to play a system that fits Solanke. A top team doesn't have that. A player has to fit that team's philosophy, not the team has to fit around that player. And I've had that for years. And it's the same with the foul pigeon, to be fair. We have to play to his strengths rather than him coming to complement the team. And that's awful for me. The striker should be the finishing component. Their job is to put the ball in the back of the net. You can hold the ball up, yes, but you've got to put the ball in the back of the net more often than not. And these two men don't put the ball in the back of the net. They're goal shot, ladies and gentlemen. Probably get some stick for that, don't care. Put it down in the chat. But look, I'm in a cheeky mood tonight, you know what I mean? Life is so short. Do what makes you happy. And I find telling the truth just makes me happy. When I look at the right-hand side, yes, they've got Kudus, but who's behind Kudus in terms of competition for places? This is why Tottenham gets stale for me. This is more of a Tottenham passion. So about transfers, that's terrible. Isn't it? It's not really. I love Spurs through and through, but I'm just saying how it is. That front three is embarrassing to watch. Other than Kudus, I don't rate any man in that Tottenham front three. And even the man's behind them, I don't rate them either. But then when you look at United, for example, they've had a hard summer so far. They've signed Andre Santos from Chelsea, and they've signed Tillemans from Aston Villa, where they've paid his release clause. And by the way, I want to talk about Aston Villa because, wow, again, I am so impressed by Aston Villa in the fact that they solved their PSR by selling Morgan Rogers, which was touted to go to Arsenal, but ended up going to Chelsea when they dropped 115 million. But they brought in I call him man like Mambasi, yeah, but it's Jonathan Mambasi. Yeah, the Switzerland player in the World Cup who was a fantastic tournament for Switzerland. And they ultimately looked up by Argentina in the quarterfinals. But then you look at and yeah, he suffered to injury as well, but he had a fantastic tournament when you look at him. And he really established himself in Basel. And then you look at the fact that they've also brought in João Gomez as well, who is a fantastic player. I thought he was Wolves' best player, one of the players I would love to see at Tottenham, but Tottenham went down there to Nani and the Mateus Fernandes. I'm not going to criticize them for that. They chose what they wanted. But yeah, João Gomez is such a fantastic player. Aston Villa bought him as well. But then they have good windows when they get in Champions League football. And this is why I like watching Aston Villa, because when they get Champions League football, they actually put the effort in. And you can see how they use it to benefit their club. When I look at Tottenham, for example, I don't see that effort. And this is why I don't really want Spurs getting Champions League football, because it's not that kind of effort that you see like Aston Villa do it. Or other teams, to be fair, when they get Champions League football. There's none of that at Tottenham. So I'm glad when these teams actually qualify, because you can see how much pride and emphasis they put on it when they come to building their team for that season. And then, like I said, with United, they brought in Tillemans and they brought in Andre Santos. They're still looking at a third midfielder with the talks of Manu Kone, and Manu Kone is going to leave Roma because Roma have to comply with PSR and they haven't had much money coming in. So they're going to sell a top star this year, and it's going to be touted to be Manu Kone. And he is a fantastic player who plays for France in the World Cup as well. And I would have loved him at Spurs as well as the line in the midfield, because he is a box-to-box. No, I lie down. He is a progressive six, I would say. He can do the role of a natural six defensive midfielder, but he can also do the box-to-box as well. And I do like Manu Kone as a midfielder. But then there's also Mar Sevilla, who plays in goal for Roma, and I would have looked at him about Spurs instead of bringing Martin Dubravka, because Martin Dubravka, to me, it reminds me of when Spurs signed Joe Hart. But back to this video, and Barcelona have had a fantastic summer as well. But do you know who's the best one? One is PSG, in the fact that they've sold Ramos, and they've also sold Kang In Lee to Atletico Madrid, who we'll talk about. But they're looking at Magnus Agliush to make the French front three with Dembele ahead of Doué and Agliush and Agliush as the attacking options. And this will allow Bradley Barcola to go to potentially Liverpool for big money. And I don't really rate Barcola. I think he's got a lot of huff and puff, but my man doesn't look composed. A bit like Tell in that aspect. He doesn't look composed when he's in front of goal. And that's enough a thing that it's one of the ones where you like, bro, I wouldn't want to see you with a man or a woman. You know what I mean? Because you talk to them, brother, you try to shout them up, man. You're not composed, brother. That's ending in disaster. You know, them ones there. You're going home alone that night. You know, them ones there. But who am I to say these things? But yeah, when you look at clubs like PSG who do their selling already and the potential incomings they've got there, they're really European champions, but you can see that they're not happy with that. They still want improvements done. And fair play to them, because you don't lie down when you're on top. You strike while the iron is hot. Real Madrid, for example, and La Liga themselves have had a fantastic window. When you think of Barcelona, they brought in Adeyemi, and he is from Germany and Dortmund, and he's a fantastic option on the left-hand side. They've also built an Anthony Gordon as well from Newcastle. So you can see their strength in their width with the signing of Adeyemi and Gordon. Then you add Lamar on the other side. But they needed a target man to replace Lewandowski, because Lewandowski's gone off now to United States, back to Miami, because he signed for Miami during the World Cup, so that's one of the ones that went underground. And so Barcelona are going to need a central forward, and there's a lot of talk about Julian Alvarez. I mean, part of me still thinks that he might go there. I think Atletico will relent towards the end, and they sort of release them to be able to spend more money themselves, because so far Atletico Madrid have had a fantastic summer as well. They've brought in Grimaldo from Bayer Leverkusen, and they've also brought in my man there, Morten Harleman from Sporting Lisbon, which is why I said, remember a year time ago, go back to a previous video, that Paulinho was going to go to Sporting because he's going to replace Morten Harleman, because Harleman was on his way out, and he's gone to Atletico Madrid. And they still need to strengthen their front line. But they've got Saul off behind Alvarez. Depending on what happens, I can see them buying another striker, and then that will lead to the Alvarez going. Because I feel Alvarez has made so much noise about Barcelona that I feel there's a will, there's a way he'll get his move to Barcelona. Even if Atletico refuse to do business with them, I feel the level will relent. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Please put it down in the chat. Hopefully we will get back to you as soon as we can. But there's other signings that you look at in around world football and you think, there's so many players out there. Do you know who I'd like as players? And I've always said this, Charles de Ketelaere at Atalanta. What a fantastic number 10 he is. And he can actually play as the focal number 9, as you saw for Belgium. And this man is so skillful. He would light up what I learned. And Atalanta need the money, so I would chance that because Atalanta have already turned down the bid for Man United from Edison, and that deal is dead in the water. So I would have tried out for Charles de Ketelaere because I still feel they need money. But what are your thoughts in the chat? What do you think? But as we come to the end of the segment of this video, let's talk about SummerSlam. Who is looking forward to SummerSlam? Because I am. I'm going to be looking forward to night 2. You know what SummerSlam, yeah? With SummerSlam, it's the only one like WrestleMania where it's over 2 nights. And I don't like the fact of it being over 2 nights because one night is always better than the other one. That's how I felt. I thought night 2 of WrestleMania this year was better than night 1 in the aspect of the wrestlers that were performing on night 2. I think it was top stacked compared to night 1. And it ended with Roman Reigns versus CM Punk in that memorable match. But we had Oba versus Brock Lesnar at one point, and that was a fantastic match. And we have the trilogy part because Oba won that match at WrestleMania. Lesnar won in Clash in Paris. And now we've got the Dead Rubber, which is going to be in the Hell in a Cell between these 2 Goliaths. And I think Oba will win. Don't get me wrong, because Oba's on his way to the stars. This man's going to be the next big thing in WWE. And I can see them potentially lining him up to take on the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. You know, the finger up. We did the video on him on this channel earlier, me and Corey. So, yeah, please tune back into that one. And so it's going to be a lot of build-up for him. So I feel that they need him to have this match against Brock Lesnar, get that one out of his system, and then build him up for his clash. Because remember, he had to give up his King of the Ring potential title shot to face. Yeah, he had to. People always text at the wrong moments, man. But back to this video. Yeah, so they're building Obafemi up to be the next big thing, and I can see him getting this Dead Rubber win over Brock Lesnar, having a match potentially against Seth Rollins, but because he won the King of the Ring, which guaranteed him a title shot, but he gave this up to face Brock Lesnar for a 3rd time at King of the Ring at SummerSlam. So we'll see that match, and I think that match will be done the Sunday again. We also have, and I think this has the potential to be a stealer, and that is Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Now, I'm a Roman Reigns fan. I've always been Roman Reigns when it came to the Shield. I went the Roman side. My best mate, he went Seth Rollins side. But Seth has always had the edge over Roman. Whenever Roman's been champion and Seth fought him, he's beaten Roman, taking the championship from him. Now we're going to find out, just how far Roman's got in his career as the tribal chief in this match. And I'm looking forward to it in that aspect. I feel Roman will win. I think we'll have Solo Sikoa turning here. Or we could have Royston Keys turning here because he's best mates with Jacob Fatu. And I can see the Bloodline getting the win in the tag team match, especially after watching Raw the night before because the other team had the edge of it. This is another way you can tell who's going to might be show up there. But yeah, back to this video. Yeah, Roman, when you think of the way that this is all set up, I can see potentially a heel change between the three of them, between LA Knight, Royston Keys, and Solo. One of them will turn heel and join the bloodline. I feel it might be Solo, but it might be Royston Keys. It could well be Royston Keys because that was like I said, he's best mates with Jacob Fatu. So don't say you didn't hear it here. But if Corey was on the video, man, he would have told you his part, and that's fair play to Corey. Well, yeah, we're looking at Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. Now, this match has me confused because by all rights here, Sami Zayn beat Cody Rhodes. So therefore, it would fall that Sami Zayn would be the number one contender because he lost the title to CM Punk 2 days later. As to my memory, I don't think he's had a title rematch with him. So therefore, if anyone should have a match with CM Punk, you would have thought it would have been Cody. You would have thought it would have been Sami Zayn. Unfortunately, what we have here is what they take favoritism. Cody favoritism. So that coming to what we talk about here. Things to think. So, who do you think is going to win the match? Because I would love to say CM Punk, but I feel I'll give it to Cody Rhodes here. But then, isn't that an insult to Sami Zayn? 3 days champion, only to lose it to Cody, and then Cody Rhodes went back at SummerSlam. I think it kind of demeans that title, to be fair. And that's why I don't really like it. And I'm not a big fan of Cody Rhodes. You know what I found? You know what? I'm going to liken this to the other channel, Watch tomorrow night. I'm making a video tomorrow night on BMGT. Right. Because on BMGT tomorrow, we're going to talk about other stuff that I did like at the end of this video. But anyway, as I was saying, Cody Rhodes, I'm getting tired of seeing him as a champion, but he reminds me of Superman to Roman Reigns is Batman. Roman Reigns is a good guy, but he's more. And that's the dynamic I've always had. This is why I prefer Roman Reigns to Cody Rhodes, to be fair. I didn't want him to lose the title, but things happen, and it is what it is. But as we come close to this video, because it's been a while, I want you to leave your thoughts and feelings in the chats. Say what you feel down here, and I'll answer them back as soon as I can. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and God bless. And out.